Hello, this is S.K. Williams, and today I would like to offer a tribute to my father. Indeed, I am recording this on my father's birthday. My father died many years ago. He died when I was 5 years old, and I never really got to know him. I don't have any memories of my father either. All I have, besides my own life, are the recollections of others, notably my mother. So I know he was a good man who cared deeply for his family, his wife and his 2 sons, only one of which now remains. And I know that he was a hard worker, that he loved to fly airplanes, that he served in the military at one point. And I know that he was a devout Christian, who was very committed to the Churches of Christ, which is also the church I was raised in. Indeed, this was one of the most important aspects of his life, and from what I am told, he studied the Bible quite often and was well versed in it, and was also on occasion called to preach. For you see, the Churches of Christ do not have an ordained ministry. Any baptized male can do so, though usually they reserve this right to those whom they think they can trust to deliver a good lesson. And normally there is a preacher who is there most Sundays to actually deliver the message. However, the preacher is not ordained clergy typically, at least not within the context of the church itself. Some Church of Christ preachers who do it professionally, or at the very least consistently, do get a ministry license from the state so they can do things such as perform weddings, but the church does not have an ordained clergy, but they do typically fill the spot of preacher still. If you are between preachers because one has left for some reason, perhaps retired, or if the preacher can't be there some Sunday, they will simply take one of the other males who has been baptized and is in good standing, and allow them to deliver the message instead. Which, of course, brings me to the fact that the Churches of Christ are not the United Church of Christ. A lot of people make that mistake, but the United Church of Christ does have ordained clergy. Nevertheless, I am not making this video to discuss which religion is the true religion. I'm not making this post to praise the Churches of Christ. I am also not making it to condemn them, or to tell you which Christian church is the true Christian church who gets it right. What I'm making this video for is something I feel is worthy to honor my father. And that is a question of true religion. I don't mean that in the academic sense of the word. I'm not trying to tell you what religion is, as in trying to define it. Religion is a notoriously difficult word to define, and there is no consensus on what exactly constitutes religion. Although militant atheists are rather fond of the dictionary definition found on Google, and presented often as the official definition of religion. This, of course, isn't the official definition of religion. It's simply one definition in a dictionary, specifically the Oxford English Dictionary, and the Oxford English Dictionary actually has more than one definition in it. The fact that this is the first one on Google does not really mean anything. However, from my point of view, I'm not talking about what constitutes a religion philosophically, or even culturally. I'm asking what true religion is in a more direct way. Being pragmatic about it. Being practical about it. So this isn't really about who has the right idea of the nature of God, or whether or not certain rituals are effective in doing something for one's soul or appeasing God. This is rather about something that one can read in the Epistle of St. James, chapter 1, verse 27. Pure religion and undefiled before God and the Father is this, to visit the fatherless and widows in their affliction, and to keep himself unspotted from the world. I think this, perhaps, is something that we can all learn. I'm not arguing debates over theology are unimportant, and I'm not arguing that we shouldn't debate or discuss differences within religious beliefs to determine which is true. But I am arguing this. The most important aspect of religion, perhaps, is not who is right, but rather who lives in the most right way. For you see, as much fun as one can have in discussing theology and philosophy, and as helpful as it can be in certain situations, we do not live our lives in an academic setting typically. Even those of us who do it professionally will have to enter into the regular world of daily life periodically. So the question is not so much, what is the nature of God? Or what is the efficacy of our religious rituals? The question is, how do we live? And to that end, St. James gave us a very good answer, I believe, though not unique. I do believe that one of the most important aspects of religion is the way in which we would conduct our own lives. For you see, contrary to how our popular culture likes to determine religion, religion is ultimately nothing more than a belief system one holds, and I would contend that everyone is religious. This includes atheists who hate religion. And I'm not calling a lack of belief in a God religion. I don't accept that atheism is a lack of belief in a God, and even if I did, it wouldn't matter. I agree that atheism is not a religion, but when I say everyone is religious, including atheists, that's not the same thing as saying atheism is a religion. I'm talking about things like secular humanism, philosophies that atheists hold to instead of religion. For to me, they are not non-religious philosophies that one can turn to and use instead of religion. They are simply godless religions. And if you once again tell me that religion requires belief in a God, I will tell you that I don't believe it does, and you're missing the point. I also don't believe that one can have a moral code that is derived independent of religion. Not because I think belief in a God is a prerequisite for morals, but rather because any moral code you come up with will inherently be religious on its own terms. For a key element to religion is morality. Religion exists in part to give us moral standards. So our moral codes, as well as what we use to derive them from, are going to inherently be religious, irrespective of if we believe in a God or not. And it is to the morals to which we look. For while I indeed do believe that God exists, this video is not about the existence of God. It is about the way we live, and the way we die. As St. James said, visiting the widow and the fatherless and helping them in their affliction. And I believe this can be expanded to helping any in need. If an atheist were kind, then how would I view it as cruelty? If a Muslim is kind, how then is this unkind? If a Hindu is kind, why not repay that kindness with kindness? For you see, what is more important than asking whether a God exists or not, or asking how many gods, or asking who has the correct answer about God, if God is triune, as Christians would say, or if God is singular, as Muslims would say, or for that matter, certain Christians, for not all Christians are Trinitarian, is perhaps this. Perhaps the great prophets and sages and holy men have been leading humanity to be kinder, helping us develop a sense of cooperation, helping us develop a sense of compassion, to help those who have lost loved ones, to help children who have lost parents, to help women who have lost husbands, perhaps to help husbands who have lost wives, to help the ill, to help the infirmed, to help the dying, to give of oneself what is needed for another. Perhaps the best aspect then of religion is being kind. Perhaps the best aspect of religion is to help when and where we can, to help those in need, and to leave the world a better place for it. To see someone who is destitute and to provide them some food and comfort, perhaps get them back on their feet, and to have a society in which we can all help each other achieve a measure of success and comfort. A world in which we do not tear each other down and insult each other. A world in which we do not lavish insults, but rather praise. A world in which vulgar tongues are stilled, and we hear naught but truth and kindness. A world in which no one who is ill is turned away for want of a fee to be paid, or the want of money to pay it. A world in which we work in harmony with nature and with our fellow man. In a way, it is a world of certain sci-fi utopias, including one I grew up on that has a certain captain whose name means church, who had an alien first officer who was half human but was very logical. Perhaps that future, though not necessarily as secular humanist, isn't such a far-fetched idea. Perhaps all we need to get something like that is to truly respect one another, and to truly love one another, and to see in each other a kinship, and to see in each other a shared humanity, and to see in each other a shared nature and existence, to see in each other the very image of God. And I would say that even to an atheist. For even if you do not think God exists actually, you can use him at least as a metaphor, a symbol for our highest ideals, and a symbol for nature itself and the continuum of our existence. There is no need to cast God aside as a completely worthless concept. Atheists today readily accept Greek mythology, for instance, at least in terms of metaphor, so I see no reason to treat the God of the Abrahamic faiths any differently, and to take value from him. And if you say there is no value because he is such a monster and a tyrant, well, you're just being polemic again. You can always point to the things that we can criticize in the Quran or the Bible. You can talk about genocides and slaveries and murders and awfulness and tyrannical gods, and how tyrannical God is. You can discuss all of this. But it doesn't improve anyone's life. It helps no one. And indeed, those who go in venom against religion become themselves venomous. Is it worth it? Let us lay aside hatred of various religious texts. Let us lay aside our hatred for each other. Not all Muslims are terrorists, and there are good things in the Quran we can all agree to. Such as, to kill one man is to kill the whole world. Or, woe to those who pray, who are heedless of their prayers, who pray to be seen and withhold small acts of kindness. Or other such things, such as, "You must be gentle. Verily, gentleness is not in anything except that it beautifies, and it is not removed from anything except that it disgraces it." Are these words not true simply because they are in the Quran, if you are not a Muslim? Are these words of value only to Muslims? Are these words worthless in reality? And the same can be asked of various Bible verses, such as Jesus saying that we should love all, even our enemies, or that we should forgive any who wrong us, or that we should not look to others and be critical of them without noticing our own faults. And Jesus did say all of those things. To point to things just to tear them down is to ignore the beauty they can also hold. And is it worth it? Is it worth it to go after each other over these beliefs? Discussing these beliefs perhaps is worth something. Trying to determine the truth is worth something. Coming to a conclusion about the truth and listening to other views is worth something. But is it worth just mindlessly attacking the Bible or the Quran or any other holy text? Of course it's not. But what is worth it is being there when someone is hurt or scared or sad. What is worth it is helping people when they have hit hard times, assisting someone who has just gotten out of the hospital, comforting someone who has lost a loved one, helping someone recover their confidence or sense of stability in life, helping people recover from depression or other mental afflictions. Isn't that better than mockery or derision or attacks? And isn't that in the end the direction we would want to take humanity? In a direction of kindness, in a direction of gentleness, in a direction of cooperation. With that, I will leave you. In memory of my father, Thomas Carey Williams. Thank you. God bless, and goodbye.